You're listening to the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast with Bobby Stein.
Hello, my name is Bobby Stein, your host of the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast, where I share candid conversations with extraordinary folks from all walks of life to discover just what motivates their mindset. Welcome in and thanks for listening. So hey there, welcome into another episode of the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Bobby Stein, and I hope that wherever you're watching or listening, that you are doing absolutely fantastic. Today, I am fortunate enough to have a guest that I met at our local gym not long ago, and we struck up a conversation. He's a really nice guy. He's a fitness nut, and he's a financial advisor as well, professionally. He kind of resembles the real Dom Toretto from Vin Diesel's character, you know, in the Fast and Furious franchise. I think he does anyway. And we're going to learn about what motivates his mindset. And without further delay, let's speak with Greg Scheinberg. And thanks for tuning in. Greg, how you doing, my friend?
My pleasure, brother. Nice meeting you. Nice joining the podcast.
Outstanding. Like I said earlier, I mean, that accent is not from Bonita Springs or Naples or Fort Myers, Florida. Where do you hail
Definitely
from?
not. So originally from Queens, New York, nice town known as Howard Beach. Grew up there most of my life. Doesn't have the best reputation, but it's also a very, very good neighborhood. My whole family's actually still back there. And eventually we're going to start migrating down to the beautiful state of Florida. I lived in Queens for 30 plus years of my life. Had a brief stint in Long Island for 2 years, and then this crazy thing called COVID hit, and we made the decision to pack up because the rules and regulations in New York were absolutely crazy when I'm being told that I can't go to a gym, and I can go to my local liquor store and buy alcohol, but I can't go to a gym. I had enough of that. And, make a long story short, we literally landed on X and bought a house the same day I got here, which is a pretty crazy story, but I knew I had my mindset. It's funny. I always pictured myself living in Florida. I hate the winter. I hate the cold. So I know I want to be somewhere warmer.
There you go.
And then COVID hit, and I was like, now, what better time than now? Everything was going remote, so I didn't have to be in a specific location. I am my own business owner, so I do have the capabilities of doing that. My wife didn't have such flexibility as I did, but when COVID hit, everybody went online pretty much. And once her job gave her the opportunity to work remote, I kind of gave her the ultimatum saying, I'm leaving New York, so you either come with me or you can stay. And there's a funny story behind that. I was actually
What happened?
Yeah, so I was actually at my company work conference, which was in Orlando, and every year, based off production, they incentivize you to these nice trips, all expenses paid for, nice locations. So that year happened to be in Orlando, Florida. We were staying at the Ritz. Funny story: a couple of weeks before the conference was supposed to hit, the company comes out and says, "Hey, we're canceling the whole trip." But then they also said, hey, we have the whole thing paid for already. So if you still want to go, there's no work meetings, everything's paid for. So it's at your leisure, and, you can still go and enjoy, everything we had set up for you.
Wow.
So pretty much the whole company still showed up because who's going to say no to a nice vacation in Florida when everybody was on lockdown? Basically, we spent a couple of days in Orlando, hit the theme parks. Little weird doing those things with masks and all the regulations that were in effect, but that was the norm at that point. We then got in our car, made the decision to drive to Naples area, landed on X, and then met a gentleman who has become one of my best friends here now, and he basically showed me a house that I knew I wanted, and we put an offer in that day. And basically what happened there was, at that time, and I'm sure you remember, the housing market got pretty crazy down here because everybody was moving. Yeah. And it was basically final and best offer. You got to put one offer in, and whatever you put, if you get outbidded, there's no coming back.
Right.
This gentleman, his name is Mike, great guy, big realtor down here as well. He pretty much told me, he's like, hey, I just want to give you a little bit of information here because we became friendly. And he's like, there's no bids on this house. So he goes, you could actually get into this house if you put a bid in by 4 o'clock and nobody actually comes in by 4 p.m. we can get you in and you could pretty much not pay $1 over asking.
Wow.
So my wife gets a little crazy and she's like, well, why is there no bids on this house? What's wrong with it?
Something's wrong. I know something's wrong.
There's got to be something. And make a long story short, basically, I just think the way they drew it on the map when they were developing the property in the development, it almost looked like the backyard was a little bit smaller than the rest of everybody else's backyard. But as you know, everybody has the same footprint for the house that you're purchasing. And basically, for some reason, nobody put any bids on it. And my wife and I go back to the hotel room and, now shit got real because I'm like, I'm buying this house. And she's like, we just came here to look. I'm like, you might have thought we came here to look, but I came here to get the hell out of New York. So I convinced her, 3:50, 10 minutes before the deadline. I put the offer in and we got a submitted offer, which was approved. And then that's how I ended up in this beautiful part of Florida, known as Naples, Bonita, and Fort Myers.
Outstanding. When was that? You said about
COVID. That was 21. We moved down.
Okay, so you had
February of 21 we closed, and then we did some upgrades on the house for the month leading into March, and we moved down March of 2021.
That's perfect. Yeah. We got down. I got down initially from southern New Jersey. I'm outside of the Philadelphia area in 1999 for a business opportunity. And much like you, I always envisioned myself in two places, sunshine, either California, Southern California, or Florida. And when the opportunity presented itself, Greg, I really seized the moment. And we bought a home in Naples. It was lovely. And we just really thoroughly have never looked back. Although I did have a short stint where I had to go back to the Northeast. I went through some personal issues, experienced a divorce, et cetera, but I've since remarried and moved down again. And it's truly home. My wife and I now, we joke and we'll say, back home. And she's like, what are you talking about? This is no back home.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny about that? I couldn't get my wife to move down here. Now I can't get her to ever go back to New York. She's only been back twice now, once for a wedding and once for a party. But once you really experience living in such a beautiful area,
paradise,
and, getting away from, the craziness of what New York really has become, you really start to realize, how much better life could be outside of that, and I talk to people all the time. I say to them, if you have any opportunity to get down here, do it. It's been the best 3 years of my life. My stress levels have been amazing. Everything has gotten better since I've been living down here. Now, with me being an advisor, my business is still up in New York. My office is still in New York. But I have the beauty of getting on a plane, traveling 2.5 hours, spending 2 days there, no more than 2 days. That's my limit. Because then my stress just goes crazy. And it's just so, I can't explain it. When I get back to quote unquote home, which again, like you just said, this is home for me now. I'm honestly just not, I can't explain, like, so for this, we're in July now. I pretty much been back once a month, since January. And every time I went there, it was just like cold, gloomy, didn't see the sun for the two days I was there.
Yeah.
And then I land in, Southwest Florida and I walk outside and I see the sunshine and palm trees right outside of the airport. And I'm like, this is home,
Whenever we get rattled in terms of the population explosion down here, and much of it was to do, like you said, with COVID. A lot of Northeasters, a lot of Midwesterners came down to celebrate the sunshine and the freedom from the COVID restraints. But when you're up there, Greg, you kind of just you're used to it, and you don't really consider it. But so when we get sick of all that stuff, we'll fly up to see the kids. Our girls are still up in Philly and South Jersey, the grandkids, and you talked about the cold and the gloominess. My wife and I have a term we call it industrial gray, whereby
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The weather settles in, and it settles in for a week or two at a time, and you just you're like, oh my gosh. Down here, at the very least, it'll settle in for a minute, but 2-3 days later, you're back on board. And I love what you said. As soon as I get off that airplane, and Southwest region, RSW, and you come through the gates, and the air is soft, the sun is shining, and it's like Oh, no wonder.
Can't
But
put a price on that sunshine feeling on your skin. I even
priceless.
see it in my dogs. My dogs, every morning, the first thing they do is they go out, they lay by my pool on the day bed, and
Yeah.
they sit out there and they basically go back to sleep after getting up. And it's just like they just love that feeling of the sun. And I'm like, I know that feeling,
Yeah. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have 2 Boston Terriers.
I knew that. I was just baiting
Yeah.
you because I have one too. Yeah, they love that pool deck, right? They go out.
Yeah.
My terrier goes out there and she'll just soak up the sunshine. And
I built my whole backyard for the dogs. Like we live in a nice community. We have a beautiful community pool, but obviously you can't bring the dogs there because
Yeah.
the HOA. But
yeah,
I built the whole backyard for them. They literally love the pool. They love the sunshine. They love being outside. It's nice to have your own privacy too. If you want to get away from everybody and go in your own pool. But I literally built it for them.
very, very fortunate to be here. That's a fact.
Oh yeah.
So you're in the financial field. Did you go to school for that? How long have you been at it?
No, actually, I originally owned a business with my brother and my father. It was a produce company. We used to deliver fruit and vegetables all over, the 5 boroughs.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pretty successful business, and then Hurricane Sandy hit, and we lost pretty much like almost half the business. A lot of people, lost their business, and then we don't have any guarantees of them paying us when they're out of business. You close your corporation, and good luck trying to get money from a corporation that's closed.
Yeah.
So we took a pretty big hit there, and my heart wasn't in it. I just knew that wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So funny story, my wife was in the market of looking for a job, and a financial advisor who I knew in my neighborhood who was very successful. I said to him, hey, you looking for like maybe an assistant? My wife's just, not happy with where she's at. She's trying to, go to a different level. My wife currently right now is an executive assistant for PayPal, which she, has a pretty good job there. But at the time, she was in, looking for something more stable, something that she could make more money in. So make a long story short, she had an interview with him. And then after that, she went to Manhattan for another interview with another company. She walks in, she has an interview. She comes out and she's like, he does super well. Everything sounds great. But she's like, it's really like there's no salary. It's, commission based, and you have to, build your own book. And she's like, I can't work like that. So she starts telling me everything about, what he does. And I'm like, sounds like everything I do on a daily basis. I mean, I've been in sales since I was, pretty much 15, 16 years old. And I ended up, contacting him after, and I said, hey, I want to have an interview with you for myself. I think this might be something I want to learn, and if you could educate me on how you became successful, I think I could do it myself. And that's what I'm proud about myself is, anything I put my mind to, I literally achieve. And I can't explain it, but like I just envision it and then it happens. And I think that's just a mindset of, being disciplined and, just not think everything and, get the education and listen to people and see what they have to offer and why they're successful. And, he brought me up onto him, and then I hit the ground running. What's funny is I got in this business in September of 2013, and, I'll give you a little bit of a background about my story. And remember, I was telling you a little bit earlier about the conference in Orlando. So every year you could qualify based off production to make these trips. So I got in this business in September of 2013. So you have October, November, December, 3 months after that to qualify for that trip, while everybody else has a full year to make those numbers. So I sit down with the general agent. So he's like basically a guy manager, and he's like, what are some of your goals? And, that year on the wall, there's a big poster, and the trip was Hawaii. And I said, hey, I've never been to Hawaii before. And, I want to make that trip. He goes, he laughs at me. He goes, well, that's not going to happen. What's a more realistic goal? And I was like,
yeah, that's pretty aggressive. He says,
yeah, right? That's my goal, And he's like, okay, well, he goes, listen, I don't want to, burst your bubble, but I also don't want you to set this goal so high, and then if you don't make it, you get discouraged and you might not want to do this and stuff like that. Right. And I said, no, I'm a grown man. Like, if I don't make it, I'll be fine. But that's my goal. And he's like, all right, well, let's see what happens. Make a long story short, December 31st, I'm out running around getting a contract signed to make that. I'm at a FedEx to get the contract sent in at the time. I ran to a FedEx to get it scanned and sent in because I had to get it in before close on December 30th, because the 31st that they would be closed. And I made that trip. Now, my second goal was, since I made that trip, I was like, hey, when else am I going to ever go to Hawaii again, probably? And at the time, my wife was my girlfriend. I was like, what better place would there be to, get engaged? So I took that decision and ran with that opportunity to ask her to marry me in a beautiful place like Hawaii. So that's kind of how my career started. And, every year, I've been doing this for 13 years. Every year I brought my production up higher and higher and higher. And now I'm at a position where I'm, doing fairly well for myself, which is,
congratulations.
A good blessing of I would say hard work and most importantly God. In my opinion, that I owe a lot of this to God. I'm a big believer in God, and I'm very thankful for every opportunity, every blessing I have. And before I go to bed and before I wake up, I thank Him every day.
You've got that attitude of gratitude, and it's funny.
I think that's a New Yorker in me,
Grazie.
Yeah.
I like how your wife identified and pinpointed the shortcomings of that position for herself right off the bat. Babe, there's no commission. I mean, there's no salary, and I can resonate with that as you have for the last 13 years in that position. When you work for commission, you are. There's no ceiling, number one. And so the income cap is null and void. That's really up to you. The more you bust it, the more you can earn. And
I love nothing more about that.
Isn't that the best? Because I just really like the fact that there's nobody, stifling you. As far as the mindset goes and the visualization and seeing your goals, I don't know why more people don't have faith, not only in God, but themselves regarding.
I agree.
If you have a goal, look at it, see it, right? And then I think most importantly, Greg, and you may agree, you got to get out of your own way and let things unfold.
100%.
And not let somebody burst your bubble or rain on your parade, like you said. You said, guess what? I'm going to do it. Yeah, I love that. So you've been in the financial game. Now, you're also like a life coach, right? A personal coach?
Well, this is something I just started taking on as of recently. Like you said a little bit earlier, I there's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't call me Vin Diesel. It's a funny thing. So I don't know. I just got this idea of like maybe just utilizing social media a little bit more to A, grow my own platform, and then B, help others while I'm doing it. So
win-win.
About 2.5, 3 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything different during my regular routine schedule on my day-to-day basis. So I said, I think I'm going to start, on a daily basis, filming my workouts, which is, a good portion of my daily routine.
Yeah.
And then using that to help motivate others to live a healthier lifestyle. And then I also kind of use like this to go hand in hand with what I do in business, right? Because business owners, which is most of the people I work with, small business owners, I work with, many different types of individuals, but a good portion of my book of business is small business owners. And I noticed that 98% of them all look like shit and they don't take care of themselves. And, they just put themselves last because they put everything into their business, which is what you're supposed to do. Obviously, you have to make a living and be successful and raise a family. I mean, as men, the responsibility usually falls almost on us, to make sure that, wife and the kids are taken care of. And then you look at them and you're like, you're going to run yourself dead a lot sooner if you don't, switch up your lifestyle and take care of yourself. So I figured, you know what, I could kind of do a little bit of both. I could be a, life coach or a mentor to people who are successful in what they do and help them live a healthier lifestyle. And then hand in hand, for people who are looking for help, that will also increase my financial business because they would say, hey, look, you're helping me get into a better lifestyle, live a better life. And then, hey, you know what? why not look over my finances? So it's kind of, I figured you can go hand in hand. I could do, coaching, helping people live a better lifestyle, live a healthy lifestyle, be a better person. I have calls with people on a day-to-day basis now. Some people who are at the top of their game in their industry. And a lot of them, some of them, I met right here in Southwest Florida, and some of them work out with me now. And you saw a couple of them in the gym with me that I work with, very successful business owners, and I transform some of these people into the best shapes of themselves.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not doing anything more than I do for myself on a day-to-day basis. So it's not like I'm taking on more work or more responsibility. I'm just opening myself up for people to see, hey, you know what? The key word is discipline. That's what you need to learn in life. If you could live a disciplined life and figure out a way of a work-life balance where, you gotta obviously make a living and make money, but you also need to take care of yourself, because without you, everything else fails, right? No, there's no such thing as a successful business without you at the helm.
Totally agree with you. I think we were bemoaning the fact about technology earlier while we were trying to get on board here. But the fact is that you're not doing anything additional really than just, availing yourself of a phone and a camera to post it, to get the name out there. I find it so intriguing that so many businessmen and women, they drive, and they're trying to provide, and they're successful on many fronts. Yet they're, just like you said, they're accelerated their deteriorating health condition because they put themselves last. And so what you bring to it's kind of like the two dovetail with one another really congruently, and really that's a good match. So I love to hear that. I am speaking with Gregory Scheinberg, and you can find Gregory on the Instagram platform. I knew his tagline was The Real Dom Toretto, but you've recently changed it, Greg. Why don't you share with everybody?
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I get called it every day. And then I also was like, you know what? I want to be my own image. I don't want to be somebody else's image, and it was like almost like a parody thing, like maybe to just start getting followers. I totally get
it. It was great.
Yeah. I was doing it that way, just like, maybe that will help increase the followers a little bit faster than, just seeing a random person. I mean, you're in the gym daily with me. Everybody has a tripod and a camera, and everyone's doing the same exact thing. So it's like, you're competing with 1 million other people, that are trying to film themselves and doing that. Obviously, the reason behind mine is what we're discussing now, but I used that at first as, maybe a way of, who's this guy? Let me jump on his page and see what he's about, what he's doing. And then I was like, you know what? I want to really just build me, Greg Scheinberg, not a character of a movie or somebody I look like. So recently I changed the name to the Fit Financial Advisor, which, is what I do for a living. I want to educate people on how to manage their money, put money away for long-term purposes of retirement. I'm a big believer in the most important thing you could do with your money is structure your retirement first, and then work your way back towards, investments and stuff like that.
Reverse engineer it.
Yeah, listen, you have to take care of your future, because if you don't have a future, you don't have anything, So if you don't take care of that first, and God forbid things or investments or strategies or businesses don't work out, at least you have that taken care of.
Yeah.
So, that's, really I'm
great.
A big believer in that first, and then everything else comes after.
So we can find Greg over on the Instagram platform at the Fit Financial Advisor. Check him out. You'll be glad you did. He shows really some really decent exercise routines. In other words, if Greg is going to do a chest and bicep split, he'll show you exercise by exercise, rep.
Yeah, I walk you through the whole workout. I mean,
it's really good. I've actually stolen a couple of the moves, and I've been at this game forever. So
we might have to film one, and I'll put you through a workout with me. We'll
my nerves with you. I'm brittle. I tell you, I'm brittle. But
listen, I hope I look as good as you at your age. At that point, I mean, I love seeing nothing more than that. Like, I'm 39 now, and there's a lot of younger kids in the gym who look up to me, and then I'm like, you know what? I want to look up to people who are in their 50s and 60s, because it's a longevity game. It's a long game,
And that never goes away, by the way. I'm 62 myself. I've got my youngest daughter is your age, and I've got 3. The oldest just turned 43. Okay. So yeah, and I look to the next generation in terms of inspiration. I look at a 75-year-old guy, and because when I was 25 and 30, Greg, I don't know about you, but you always look at these guys, and I'm always, how do you feel? I mean, because when we were kids, nobody really went to the gym,
Yeah.
so to speak. I mean, you had your kind of built guys and your kind of in shape guys, but it wasn't on purpose. They were just naturally came out of the womb that way. They were your good athletes. They were
Yeah.
your star varsity players and stuff. But now with the advent of and the equipment and the availability of the gyms, yeah. So you're a golfer too. How do you stay flexible with those guns and those shoulders of yours? I mean,
Oh God. I mean, it's definitely it's not the best sport to be, to be a golfer in when you're sitting at, 215 and, have a lot of muscle on you. But I'm getting better. Moving to Southwest Florida.
it's
I was
mandatory.
like, what better place to start golfing than living here? It's now become an addiction. It's pretty bad. It's like consuming my life. I love it.
Welcome to your new addiction.
Say again?
Welcome to your new addiction.
Oh yeah, it's definitely 100%. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. Like, I just closed one of my biggest deals.
I was just going to say, it's a great place to conduct business. That's for sure.
I just met a gentleman on the east coast of Florida. I took him out for a round of golf, and I think that round solidified, literally one of the biggest deals I've ever closed. And I couldn't be happier because I'm doing something I love while playing something I love, and I'm getting the best of both. But yeah, I mean, it's it's funny. You say that, like, my right shoulder's been bothering me. I don't know if it's from golfing or if it's just age is starting to catch up, and been working out for 24 years straight.
I was going to say, maybe it's the weight you're throwing around.
Yeah, you know what? I don't lift heavy anymore. I learned that lighter weight and repetitions and perfect form is going to go 100 times better than trying to lift heavy weight.
Agreed.
As you're younger, your body can obviously handle that. There's no more such thing as ego lifting as you're getting older. Now it's just maintaining and but I'll say this: this past year has been an amazing ride, and I'll say the big reason why it's been an amazing ride is because my birthday just passed on June 26th, and on June 27th, I made the decision to cut alcohol out of my life. And probably one of the best things I've ever did, because I feel so much better, and this is the best shape I've ever been in. Like I said, I've been working out for 24 years, and I've seen the craziest change by cutting alcohol out of
mentally, spiritually, and physically, brother.
Everything's better. Literally,
everything's clear. It's clear. You heal faster. You've got more energy. You can make decisions on the fly better.
If I could give anybody advice, and as crazy as it sounds, but it's really serving no purpose in your body. I get it. People like to enjoy it. I'll never try to talk anybody out of it. I don't feel like I'm better than anybody now that I don't drink.
Sure.
Do what makes you happy. But just speaking on how I feel and the experience I had over this past year, it's been the best decision I think I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier, offline, about Jeff Delaney and T Clinics. Are you a client of his?
I am. I met Jeff pretty fairly early when I moved down here, and his partner AJ, great guys.
Where did you meet him?
I met AJ first. I didn't meet Jeff. I met Jeff through his partner AJ.
Gotcha.
I met AJ through a friend who I met down here, and he used to work with T Clinics, and then he introduced me to them, and I've sent them a lot of clients now. I am on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. When I was younger, I wasn't the biggest kid. I was a very, very small kid growing up. So I did experience the steroid side of things when I was younger. And I kind of, not knowing anything and just being uneducated and just doing things when you're younger, like, when you're young and dumb, I call it, right?
Sure.
So I ran steroids. Thank God I never abused it. Thank God. But I did do it. And now I'm at the point where I need TRT. It's not like that. It's a necessity now. Yeah. On top of that, even if you're not a previous steroid user or anything along those lines, I'll say this: as you get older, you're losing this a beautiful thing that our body creates, which is called testosterone, and that keeps your body in peak performance. Everything feels better. So, working with guys like Jeff, who are very knowledgeable and really educate you on what TRT is. It's obviously, people hear testosterone, they think steroids, and it's not steroids. It's, just replacing what your body used to make at a higher level.
You're leveling the playing field.
You have to. I finally just got my brother to do it. He just started last week, and I've been talking to him for years. I'm like, get your testosterone levels checked. I'm telling you, you're going to feel better. He finally did it, and his level was at like 270. I'm like, you got females that have higher levels than that right now.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, welcome to the good life. He just started last week on TRT. And, I'm very excited to see how he's going to feel. And my brother's he looks nothing like me. He's not a gym rat, not a gym guy at all.
Well, it affects gym rats, bodybuilders, and regular common lay folk the same, right? You're going to diminish in that level as you age. So to supplement and enhance, or just really to bring that, like I said, a level playing field. There's another fella. So there's T Clinics USA, Jeff Delaney, highly recommend him, and my good friend Anthony Chiralonzo at Bonita Rejuvenation, another guy just like Jeff, super people person, Greg, takes the time to educate folks. And
what's he specialize in?
Peptides.
Oh, same thing like
hormone replacements. Yeah, they're the same church, different pew.
Yeah,
great guys both. And
speaking of peptides, I was telling you a little bit earlier, my shoulder's been bothering me. I've experienced the BPC 157 TB500 protocol.
Okay.
Huge difference in that too. It's just amazing. Like there's so much stuff out there that really could benefit you in tremendous ways. And you just need to get the education. Yeah. Education, in my opinion, is the most important thing you could ever get on things like this, because it's only going to make your body feel better. And there's a lot of things out there that are actually good for you, but people think that they might be bad for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception. However, I believe with the advent, the technology, the science that's come along, we're all going to die. Let's be honest, right? I mean, nobody here gets out alive. However, it's not how long we live, Greg. I think, in my estimation, it's the quality of life while we're here. And if we're going and muddling through with lower than average T levels, and it's available, well, shame, right? You maybe reach out to one or two of these folks that we're mentioning, because there are benefits to that, and the alcohol thing is huge. I did the dry January, and it just carried over. It gave me renewed energy, like I mentioned.
I've completely cleared out my liver. I take like 25 different supplements a day, but I've really focused on my gut health and my organs, my liver, just getting everything back to.
Give them a break. Give them a break.
I've never felt better in this last year than I have. And even my aesthetic look, like I get compliments daily now. Everyone's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I went from
no alcohol.
I went from 220 down to 209. I lost 11 pounds, and I didn't change a single thing besides cutting out alcohol.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? It's like, inflammation and all the, people don't realize too, like, sugar is what kills us all, right? And there's a lot of sugar and alcohol. People don't realize that. And on top of it, when you're adding the mixes on top of it, you're taking on even more sugar. Yeah. And that's what's really, that's probably the worst part of the alcohol is the sugar.
Sure. Your body's got to, digest it and process it. So tell me, as we wind down, Greg, you mentioned early discipline and the power and the importance of that. Motivation versus discipline. Why is it important in your estimation in business and life to really hone in on, developing that discipline?
Motivation comes and goes. You could have you see it all the time in like relationships. Like, somebody will break up with somebody, and then, the woman who is not taking care of herself all of a sudden becomes the hottest girl walking around. Well, why weren't you doing that during your relationship, right? And this, like I said, motivation comes and goes. And discipline is something that you have every single day. And if you live a disciplined life, you're going to live the best life, because when you follow things that are benefiting you, it's just going to lead to more and more opportunities. And, that word is my favorite word, discipline. Like, it is embedded in my heart. And, when you have discipline, it turns into a lifestyle. Like, if I don't go to the gym, I feel like shit. It's like my 2 hours of therapy. Everything. Nothing could bother me in that place. I can't explain it. The best addiction I try to tell people is get addicted to the gym. I know it's not for everybody, but when I go there, anything. I'm not even joking. Like, even when my dog passed away, my dogs are like my children. I could go there and I could just block it all out and nothing bothers me. And then when I leave, obviously, things start, running through your mind. But when you're there for that hour, 2 hours, or whatever, how many hours you want to spend there.
Yeah.
It's just the best 2 hours of my day every single day.
Look forward to it every day. When my feet hit the ground, I'm always trying to, figure out, what time I'm going to get there and plan out my week accordingly for the weekends. My wife says, Greg, that we go to the gym for our head, our therapy, and our bodies receive and are the beneficiary of the results. So there you
100%.
have it. There you have it, man. So we got to know a little bit about what motivates the mindset of my new friend, Gregory Scheinberg. You can find him over on the Instagram platform at The Fit Financial Advisor. Check him out. Look him up. You'd be glad you did. He's got daily posts where, once again, he shares various workouts. He goes by sets, by reps. He's very deliberate, and so you can actually follow along. Super user friendly. If you have any needs in terms of financial planning, if you've come into a windfall of money, or if you're looking to get a windfall of money, this is the guy to reach out to.
Let me say this, man. When it comes to money, the biggest problem that everyone's fallen is inside of, I would call it, the 401k trap, right? And what is a 401k? A 401k it wasn't popular. It didn't even exist until, 20, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, late 80s.
You're old enough to remember pensions, right?
Late 80s.
Everybody used to have a pension. All of a sudden, the pension disappeared.
Yeah.
And why the 401k become popular? It's called control. And not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the government isn't our friend, and the government wants to control your money as much as they can. So just imagine you went down this path of tax deferral, which is what a 401k makes you do usually. And a lot of people aren't even educated on what the 401k is. I speak to people all the time, and they have no idea what they're even invested in. They just know it's an easy place to park money because their employer offers it. With that being said, everybody goes down this path of tax deferral because they don't even know that there isn't even a chance that you could actually put money away on the tax-free side. But some 401ks don't even have the tax-free side available for you to even put in. So you go down this path of tax deferral. Now you get to retirement. And then you're like, hey, how do I not pay taxes? That's what everyone's asking me. And I'm like, I can't help you with that now. I need to speak to you 20, 30 years ago and educate you on how to put money away tax-free so that when you get to that end game, you don't owe Uncle Sam any taxes.
Right.
Now, the problem is the nation currently right now is crossing 37 trillion with a T, which people don't even,
unreal.
You can't even fathom what $1 trillion is. Now, times that by 37. It's a number that's almost unrealistic, and which it probably is, just numbers on the screen realistically, right? But what I want to say is this: the debt has not decreased since 9/11/2001. I think that was the day that we kind of lost our country as a nation. Prior to that date, 215 years prior to that, the nation was only running a $7 trillion deficit for 215 years. So with that being said, we added $30 trillion in debt in 25 short years. We're not even through the 25th year yet. So something's not making sense here, right?
Right. I
can promise you, not today, but in the future, because right now tax brackets and, with Trump's new tax code that just actually passed, we're at the effectively all-time low that we're ever going to pay taxes. So if you're retiring in the next 8 years, you're going to be in a pretty good window. But that's the problem is, the tax code gets changed every administration, Congress that comes in, right?
Exactly.
So in the future, when I like to call it shit hits the fan, what is the new president going to do? They're going to blame the past, right? And that's what everyone's going to do, blame the past. Yeah. The debt ceiling keeps rising. It's like the saying goes: if you have a pipe break in your house, you don't raise the house to take on more water, you fix the problem, and you haven't fixed the problem, right? So with that being said, everyone's going down this path of tax deferral. And what we try to do first and foremost is educate people on putting money away tax-free versus tax deferred. There's efficient ways of doing that where you're not giving up access to your money, because even when you go into 401k, you don't even have access to your own retirement account. If you take money out of a 401k prior to 59 and a half, there's a 10% IRS penalty that you're going to hit just for taking your own money out. Makes no sense. I don't know how it's legal, but I'm not going to argue with the government.
It's
right?
not, I don't,
That's not a hill I'm going to try to battle on, but
you're not going to die on that hill.
You know, with that being said, you know, just get the education on why you should really be focusing on what you're doing. And I like to call people sheep, because everybody does the same thing, right? Everyone's putting their money into a plan, or everyone's doing the same thing. It's the person who takes the initiative to have a phone call with a professional like myself and say, hey, what else can I be doing, or what should I be doing that might benefit me more than what I'm doing, what all my other coworkers are doing. And I shit you not, Bobby, every time I have a meeting, I get the same response on every meeting. I just got off a meeting right before I came on here with you, and the gentleman was like, how come everybody's not doing this, or how come everybody didn't know about this? And it really comes down to is you're the problem. If you take the initiative to, and I do, the reason why I'm meeting a lot of people, like, you know, I was telling you a little bit earlier, I moved down here not knowing a single person. That's, you know, in my opinion, a crazy thing to do, right? I moved my entire life to a location, didn't know one person living here, and I didn't give two shits, because I was like, you know what? I'll meet people. I'm not scared of change. And, you know, that's another thing I want to hammer on for people too, is don't be scared to make a change in your life, because that's going to lead to something better. If you feel that you don't belong where you're at now, or if you're not happy with where you're at now, take the leap and jump. I'm telling you, it's going to make you feel 100 times better in the future. And you're going to look back and say, you know what? It was the best decision I've ever made.
Nothing changes until we change. Yeah.
100%, you know, so, you know, I made that decision to move down here not knowing anybody. I was like, I don't care. I'll meet people. I'll figure out ways on how to generate business. I do a lot of marketing online. That's kind of where I'm generating a lot of my new clients, but I'm also in this business for 13 years. So I'm at the point now where it's a lot of referral business, you know. People I'm working with, their kids becoming adults now, they're becoming clients and stuff like that. But with that being said, it's just take the opportunity to get educated on what else is out there that everybody else is not doing.
Well, it's parallel to the T clinic, right? And you know, avail yourself at least of the education. And folks, that's what Greg's available for you to do. So look him up at My Fit Financial Advisor. You'll be glad you did. Reach out, message him. He'll be happy to get on a phone call with you. You can go back and forth via text, emails, and just explore what's out there, because, you know, ignorance is not an excuse. And as long as the people and the masses are going in a certain direction, something tells me that, you know what, if you did a roundabout U-turn and went the other way, that you're not going to be in all that bad a shape. Again, if we want to change, we've got to change. And Greg, man, that's a great thing you got going over there, my brother. Well, what do you think? How'd you like the podcast? You like being on the podcast?
My first one, you know, a little nervous at first, but it was a great experience. And I love getting my story out there. And then, you know, just it's a conversation between two guys like-minded. And you know, I'm excited to be on more podcasts and, you know, getting my name out there more. That was my whole goal on, you know, getting on social media, was to start building a presence out there and, you know, letting people know that, you know, I like to say this too, like sometimes people are scared to come up to guys like us in the gym because we might look intimidating or have tattoos and I'm, you know, a big guy. I love nothing more than helping people. So just please, if you do see me in the gym, say hello. If you need help, you know, that's what I'm there for.
Well, that sounds great, folks. And that is a wrap for Greg Scheinberg. I'm your host, Bobby Stein. We've learned what motivated the mindset. Again, for the final time, I'll mention it. Please visit him on the Instagram platform at the Fit Financial Advisor. You will be glad you did, indeed. And for Greg, once again, I'm Bobby. Thanks for your ear holes. Thanks for your eyeballs. And until next time, folks, please take good care. Greg, you are the man.
Thank you, brother. Nice meeting you on here, and it was a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Outstanding. Have a great evening. Good night.
You too.
See ya.
You've been listening to another episode of the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast with your host, Bobby Stein. Thank you for tuning in.